Okay.
Is Andrew doing some gaming?
No, it's under my account,
Oh.
so I'm not on this account at least.
Hello.
Saw you today.
Oh, you did? You managed to.
Oh, yeah. I was sitting where they put the keyboard, so.
Funny thing is, I sat here and I was like, oh, Sean usually sits here.
You did it. You told me.
Unofficial assigned seats, I don't know.
We're sitting this seat.
Allison. Musical chairs. Just waiting on Andrew to come back down and we're gonna get
All
started.
right, sorry, no.
Waiting on you.
Awesome.
All right, so meeting called to order at 6:02. And did everybody get a chance to review last month's meeting notes? Meeting minutes?
I motion to accept the meeting minutes as written.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
And then we move on to the Friends update.
Well, there's not much of a Friends update because the Friends don't meet until October 30th. So, let's see. You direct your attention, you can see the Lego raffle, the Harry Potter Lego raffle that's going on. So I believe November, so the flyer that's all the way. Yeah. Is it gonna be displayed here?
It is actually upstairs already.
Oh, it is.
When you don't come up the stairs on the right-hand side where we often put like holiday displays.
Great.
Looks really cool.
Do you know what that is? Were you here when we originally talked about that? So Lisa had her father had this
Yeah.
Lego, the owl.
Heavy.
And I guess it's a collector's item, and he didn't want it anymore, and no one in their family wanted it.
Okay.
So she asked him if it was okay if they raffled it off. So they've decided to use that as a raffle, prize.
Nice.
It looks great, yeah. There's Harry Potter books around it. Very cool. Yeah, it looks good.
So, that's about it. And hopefully the next time I see you all. Get more updates.
When is your next meeting, you said?
I believe the 30th.
30th.
October.
October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have 30th. That's,
Right.
And 7 PM, correct?
yeah.
Hard to believe October's almost half over already. So then we go right into the director's report and the budget.
Okay. Everybody got a copy? Have a copy? So I'll just, like I said, do an overview. Staff, Jane started on September 21st in Blackwood, and things are going well there. She's picked up the circulation system and check-ins, check-outs and that. The one thing we have to do is find some additional hours for her to potentially shadow staff for things like processing and cataloging. And we do have extra hours that we can give, so I just have to figure out when that is, and what her availability is. So we'll do that. She's done a little bit of processing with Jen. They did some hardcovers and soft covers, but there's still a ton of media that she hasn't done, CDs, etc. But so far, so good. I revised staff conduct policy. I sent it to everybody in email. Jennifer O'Neill, HR, reviewed it. Don't really have much to add to that. Facilities. So actually, I've seen Ray Gall in the last couple of days. This is a good thing. He took a look at the corresponding unit, whatever we call it. There's an exterior unit in the fenced-in area.
Yeah.
Corresponds to the wall unit in the elevator room. There was a switch that was off out there. I don't know Victory Gem, whatever it is, was thinking, but the switch was off, he turned it on. Honestly, it comes up and cool air is coming out, and he's able to adjust the temperature just fine. He doesn't believe there's a leak or anything like that. So he left it sitting at, I think it was 72 the other day. He came in today, it was still at 72, still generating air. Not a big deal there. He said that his feeling is it probably doesn't even need to have a unit in there based on the use of the elevator. You could, he said, cut vents in the door and it would probably be just as effective. But if it's in there and it's workable, you know, not a big deal. It's just that he's not seeing anything. So he said the next thing to do would be like this next week, early on, just check it again, make sure that it's operational. I'm glad I talked to him because clearly these other guys wanted to set up an appointment that was probably not necessary. And I don't know why that is, but, because they were
It's
gonna
the
do
nature
leak
of
check
their
and all this
business.
stuff. Yeah, and so, and then I actually did talk to him a little bit too about, we were contracted with Victory and Gem, has absorbed Victory. I'm not real happy about that because Gem charges more. And they do fine enough work, but, so I did talk to him as well about, he's worked with these units, these Mitsubishi units. So we might go in a different direction. I'm having some issues with Gem and their billing right now because when they absorbed Victory, the contracts, I assumed would have moved over and they would have known exactly when some of the annual contracts, you know, when they would need to contact their, the, you know, individuals who are, you know, using Victory or Gem or whatever, and they never did that. And so when I contacted Gem to come in to do a HVAC, semi-annual maintenance, they charged it like it was a one-time ask and not part of the contract and overcharge. So I've been working with them for the last 3 weeks, getting them trying to get to a stage where they know or understand that we're supposed to be under a semi-annual contract. Because otherwise it's going to be twice the amount that we would typically pay. If Ray Gollin can, you know, check these, you know, semi-annually and it can, you know, it would be a lesser cost, then I'd rather look at that. Besides, he's already doing the town hall. I think he does another department, maybe it's a senior center.
So he has his own HVAC company?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So I said I'd reach out to him again at some point. I want to get this resolved first because I'm sitting here with an invoice for over $3,000 some for their last visit. And I keep going back to the same person. She says she's going to talk to them and it just doesn't connect. And she will get back to me, but it's just like, I don't know if she's stalling or what. But it's not tough. This isn't.
Right, it's not rocket science, right.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's where we're at with that. Let's see, we had a department head meeting. Yay, because that hasn't happened for a long time. And they're actually having another one in, where did I think I said somewhere in here. It's in October, actually, end of the month. So I just mentioned to the interim town administrator, the septic issue and how that was resolved and that when we went around to talk a little bit about our departments. They did talk about a facilities manager and maybe having a facilities manager at some point, which would make complete sense.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, the issue, anybody can come in and do maintenance. But somebody who's a facilities manager is going to potentially know the systems. Going to be able to keep tabs on everything. It would be like a point person for all of the contracts in town. I think it's a great idea. I hope it's looked into, we'll see, but, and who knows, maybe we'll be talking about it at this next meeting too. I'm not sure. But that would be great if they do. Post office box. I just talked to James about this a bit ago. Hopefully stop over at Home Depot. They gave me an instruction sheet. For what needs to happen for the post office box. I just need to go and take a look at the sizes. It's funny, a couple of them gave some pointers, like they said, if you're gonna do a post office box and you have a electrical pole nearby, put it closer to the electrical pole. Because the plows will be less likely to mow over your post office box if there is a electrical pole there.
They know they're gonna stop dead if they hit that pole.
Right. And they said that there needs to be enough of a pull off. And it has to be a situation, especially in the snow, where they don't have to back up, because they're not gonna back up. So we just have to figure out the way. I think that means it would be to the left of the driveway. Because that's closer to the utility pole.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was interesting to talk to all of them. One of them's been delivered for a long time, so she gave a bunch of pointers. Interesting. Let's
So we
see.
just have to decide what size mailbox you're gonna.
Right, exactly. I'm gonna go over and take a look. We didn't really get into sizes, but obviously something larger, something that's lockable.
Yeah.
And if I see something I think right off the bat will work, we'll just go ahead and purchase it. But in any event, I'm gonna get it off the ground. And get this going, and then hopefully we'll only have to stop at the post office every so often. Strategic plan goals. Yeah, one of those was to hire a grounds maintenance company, but in talking to Monica, she feels like the spring, the two sort of, the spring and the early summer cleanup she does, and based on what I can see, she's done a great job. That feels that she can handle those. I think everybody knows too that she is being reimbursed for her time doing that. Okay. It's kind of hard to just be.
No,
involved.
it's absolutely.
But the issue, she said, might be that the fall cleanup is a little bit more involved. And so I didn't know, I'd probably want to talk to the two of you about the last time the fall cleanup was done.
We just
James
did
was there.
volunteers.
Yeah, we just did volunteer. The Friends
Yeah.
kind of organized
Did you
it.
reach out? Yeah, I was wondering if you reached out.
I believe the Friends organized it. We reached out for volunteers. We got a decent number of people.
Is that something?
People brought leaf blowers and tarps and whatever, and we just kind of,
Okay. I mean, if that's something we could do again, I think
yeah,
we probably could forego grounds maintenance if Monica is handling the first two,
yeah,
cleanups, and then the fall one is a group effort.
yeah,
Would be good.
I think that's fine.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
It was only a couple of hours and we, there was 15 or 20 people here.
yeah.
She said after the first frost would probably be good. And then I did mention the other thing is in front of the rectory there. I think part of it is that there's poison ivy in that over from the rectory.
Yeah,
We did a couple of places.
that was Lisa's job.
Yeah.
She volunteered to rip
Put
up
on
the
some
place.
gloves and just go.
Lee, can you bring that to the attention of the Friends of Family?
Thank you. Let's see. Budget. So we're currently at 23.2% of the total budget spent. We should be at 25% total budget, so it's not too far off. We've spent 24% in operations to this point. We're at 22.4% in salaries, but one of the things I have to remember is that we've been without a staff person, so filling in here and there myself. And then also that there were a number of vacations over the summer, so I kind of expected we'd be a little bit trailing the 25% expenditure at this point, but I'm sure we'll make that up. And as I said, there's probably going to be some times where, like I said, Jay's going to do some shadowing. I might have some additional work for staff at some point. And so if I have additional hours, great, which we do. September expenses. Let's see, just a couple areas of concern. I'm not too concerned about contracted services. 38% of the budget's been spent there. We've only spent 6.5% of the lights budget, which is great because guess what? The next 4 or 5 months are going to be
Jack it up
more.
again.
Right, exactly. So see where that goes. Books, we've only spent 13.6% at this point. That's often the case over the summer because there's just a lot going on. But I will say that I just paid out the annual Junior Library Guild expense, and that was like over $6,600. That'll go up next month. So some of this will start to fall in line a little more reasonably. Programming, that's the one area I'm a little concerned about, where I've spent 56% of the programming budget. So it's kind of front loaded because of summer, but we'll just have to keep a closer eye on that. Programs. Third grade visits start next week, Thursday. Yeah.
Third grade or first grade?
Excuse me, first grade
There's
visits.
3 of them.
Yes, 3 first grade visits, excuse me, on Thursday, starting next week.
Nice.
45-minute sessions, should be good. Chaos at the end usually, just because kids are all over the collection, but usually fun. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so that was good. We worked with Rebecca Harden on coordinating the schedule for that. I'll be picking up the forms this next week so that we can input the forms and get library cards ready in advance for the students. October events. I won't go into too much detail there. Itty story time continues to be huge. Story and craft times have been great. The puppet story times continue to be really well attended. Actually, most everything so far in the fall here has been pretty busy. Tara, did you have anything you wanted to add about programs?
Nothing really, just everything's been going really well. Itty bitty story time is huge. I mean, that's definitely the biggest one.
Anything you wanted to mention about like upcoming October and November?
No, I think you covered everything.
Okay. Projects, floating collection. So we actually had a floating collection with the Blackstone Valley Libraries, which essentially meant that they would send items to us, we would send items to them, and it would sort of beef up our collections collectively. And we did that for adult large print, and we did that for adult audio. One thing I should mention about the program was when people would request items from a Blackstone Valley library, those items would come in here and then become part of our collection. So it wasn't like they just sort of sent stuff initially and then we never received anything else. We also then received audio and large print when people requested them in, say from Sutton or something, and it went into our collection. Over time, as much as it was nice to have the variety, there just hasn't been the space. And it's become a space issue. It certainly became a space issue for us, and we didn't even have all that much. So that's been discontinued. The group collectively decided that we would send everything back. So we didn't have a lot of titles. We don't have a lot of titles coming back to us. We sent out, close to 30 titles to other libraries, mostly large print. So that program has ended. I was looking at the strategic plan. And one of the things we need to do is put together an inventory for technology and then also sort of put together a wish list for what we would like. Obviously, I'll talk to the staff about that. If anybody has thoughts as well, and the trustees.
Sorry. Got 'em. Thank you.
Sorry. So we'll be doing that at our next staff meeting, and then we'll also talk about program offerings and where the gaps are, if there are any gaps we want to identify at this point that need to be addressed. They talked about introducing one new program a year, but I'm just interested in finding out what are the areas or age groups that we need to sort of have additional programming for. So we'll talk about that at the next staff meeting, date to be determined. I mentioned the department head meeting, that will be end of the month. Rectory subcommittee. So it will be Monday, October 23rd at 6 p.m. The only thing I had a question about, Monica mentioned Jane Lowell. Did everybody read that? And whether or not, maybe we should loop Jane Lowell in, because Jane is, knows quite a few of the seniors, but also is kind of aware of where the building project is,
Okay.
or no? Yes?
Be looked into it also. I don't know if I've
Absolutely.
seen anything about, I mean,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
I know it came up and I wasn't sure about my.
Yeah, yeah.
approval, But,
I can absolutely.
All right, what was the date? The 20th?
Monday, the 23rd at 6. Yeah, absolutely. I will, if you if any, does anybody have any thoughts about Jane or any questions or?
No, I
What was the,
The idea there is because she knows the senior community really well.
okay,
And then also, the senior center, I know, is reaching out to departments about their, departmental needs, in conjunction with the senior center building project. And it might not be a bad idea to have somebody, so we have a sense of what's going on with the senior center and sort of how things potentially could work in conjunction.
okay,
Yeah, and so that there's not conflict or anything like that.
okay.
Be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
all right, so I'll reach out to Jane as well. And then I will send everybody the email for the meeting.
Perfect.
And,
Yes, you hadn't confirmed that time or date yet, right?
No, we were,
Okay, because I was like, wait a
we
minute.
discussed it at the last meeting, like
Yeah.
Andrew had reached out to everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was like the consensus date that
Okay.
Yeah.
works, so, okay. Does it work?
Yeah.
In terms of this? All right, so I will send an email to everybody just, and then an agenda following up sometime this next week.
Okay.
All right, let's see, yes, the next door neighbor. I won't go into that in too much detail because that's an agenda item. I will say that he's still interested in acquiring the garage.
Acquiring it?
Acquiring the garage, like actually having the garage. And I said, well, does that mean like you want to lift it off the foundation and put it on your property? There's a disconnect there because his thought is that somehow you can redraw the property line. And he would be able to have the garage,
No.
but the problem is in the easement, I mean, you can't, the access issue, I mean, that doesn't work. Based on the fact that the driveway pulls around and it's library property and library driveway.
Yeah, no,
You
that's
can't use a
not,
library driveway, especially one, by the way, that is only one direction,
right.
Well,
Yeah.
depends on who you are,
I guess. Yeah.
it's supposed to be one.
It's supposed to be one
Yeah,
direction.
He tends to use it in the other direction.
Yes.
Yes. It's, what he's proposing, as far as I can see, is impossible. It's not possible,
Not even possible.
so,
I mean, anything is possible, it's just not desirable.
right,
And I don't think he understands the expense involved in it. The town wouldn't take on any of that expense, so he would have to get it surveyed, he would have to pay for all of the attorney fees, he would, and he would have to theoretically
Right.
compensate the town for that land and for the access easement.
Mhm.
It's not all gonna be free, I'm assuming.
Right.
No.
So I don't
Definitely.
think he probably thinks it's going to be negligible.
right.
And it might be, but I think it's probably gonna be more than,
He had tried to, because I guess early on, I don't know if it was even before we had officially relocated here, asked Kathy Schofield about it, so he tried to like call her 4 or 5 times in the last couple of weeks. Because I don't know if he thinks that there were some assurances given about this building, but there weren't. So I don't.
What was Kathy Schofield's position back
I
then?
think it was that it had potential to be preserved,
maybe back then it did,
but I don't think.
but I don't think it does now.
Well, and like I said, having talked to the junior planner,
Right.
her assessment was no, it's not. So, anyway, so, I mean, we'll talk to her about it, but
Okay.
I didn't really get very far with trying to have them see that. I mean, even if it's something that he was interested in, there's a process to go through, and I don't think there's an understanding there that there would be a the proper channels and a proper process.
Yeah, we're not just gonna be like, oh, okay, you can have it.
Right,
you
it's
know.
not, there's more to it than just. what I
Yeah.
think he
He'd have
thinks.
to go in front of the select board, he'd have to
Right,
do a lot of,
right,
and-
there'd be a lot of like.
I mean, that's even secondary though to the fact that he is storing his personal property on town property right now.
Right.
And he has been asked
Yeah.
multiple times to
To
remove
remove
it
it,
and
right.
he has not.
And I did look today, the only thing, I saw that there was a photo that we had in the letter.
Mhm.
I think the tires were moved off of there, but that was about it. I think everything else is still pretty much. There is nothing inside the directory at this point. Just good, the pallet that was in there as well.
you mean the garage.
The garage, excuse me. The
That's
garage.
okay.
Nothing in the garage anymore.
Okay.
Anyway,
So we will reword the letter to some degree, right? We have to kind of redraft it.
Yeah,
Um,
well, and that's, when Andrew and I talked about it earlier, we talked about maybe bringing it up at this meeting.
yes,
Discussing again, do we want to send a letter to the select board, basically just stating that we've asked him to remove these materials. They continue to be on the property. So, and do we want to just leave it at that and address the issue with the improper storage? Or do we also want to, or maybe it's a separate letter, address the fact that we feel there's a safety concern with the garage and that it probably needs to be taken down?
right.
And do we want to make that 2 letters? And maybe you could give us guidance. Is it 2 letters? Is it 1 letter?
Right, I mean, it strikes me that it would be useful to get town council's opinion on these
Okay.
issues, so. And I could potentially ask about like the best way to start that process. So, 'cause, yeah, I mean, it's definitely legal issues that affect the town.
right.
Right, yeah. There's liability issues with
Yeah.
both of those things.
Both
Yeah.
things, right. The safety as well as the stuff on our property.
But yeah, so the question is whether, actually, could you email me sort of that, like, so the question is whether to send like 1 or 2 letters about these issues. And,
Right.
I mean, maybe I can just check in with the town council.
And what's the best way to go about having
Right.
them addressed? Because
Right,
we have concerns and,
yeah.
you know, trying to figure out the right way to do this.
Right.
And if I may, they can't ignore it if it's a safety issue. So if you
Correct.
start it from a safety side, saying this is a liability because of the safety concern, putting people at risk. And there's a private citizen putting themselves at risk.
Yeah.
So we turn it that way and then say, oh,
Yeah.
and by the way,
Right.
And that is really where this started, was we didn't want people in the garage because the roof is caving in. There's a hole in the roof before the roof is caving in.
You know, have to get all of our stuff out of there.
Which-
because it was not-
right.
We have to shake.
We went, and that's how we found all of the
Yeah.
neighbor stuff, is we removed all of ours and we
Or
didn't, we
should I
just
say,
was.
the contractor stuff that we didn't necessarily.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay, so I'll send you an email.
Okay, yeah, I'll take it with the best. But I did mention the rectory when we had that select board goals.
Yeah.
meeting, So I did mention it, and when we were talking about, like, squeeze it in a couple times, so it's took the second time. So like, it's like on a list of the capital plan priorities.
Oh, good, nice.
So like, I mean, it's like, at least all the other select board members are aware now, but we'll like keep building the awareness of it until we get it resolved. So,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, you've got this committee.
Right.
Committee meeting starting, but like, I'm sort of wondering if it will be useful to have a goal that. Have a proposal for like the May town meeting of like something, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we were starting this committee, was to start having these
Yeah, yeah.
conversations to try to
Yeah.
start
So,
pushing
but
it
yeah,
forward.
so that, I don't know if that's what your goal is, but it was, you know, it occurs to me that it's a town meeting sort of
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
issue, But yeah, I'm not gonna scale with Monday. It's gonna be a lot.
No,
No,
I'm
no,
right.
we
Coming up in May.
We understand that as
Yeah,
well.
I don't think May was our
Yeah,
goal.
I think so.
right?
These are
Just was-
yeah, preliminary discussions.
It may need to be, I mean, if it's a safety issue.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's the.
Safety is more for the garage in the back.
Yeah.
The one in
Rectory
the
is
back.
bigger,
Rectory's a separate-
different.
So the rectory, or sorry, the garage is a smaller structure, so potentially. a
The
smaller
the separate
financial-
garage structure in the back, not the garage that's attached to the rectory.
Yeah, I don't even, yeah,
So, yeah,
I
so
haven't
the,
even walked over this.
yeah, so the separate garage structure in the back, that's the big safety concern at this point. The garage is attached to the rectory, it's not a safety concern
No,
at this point.
And the rector at this point, based on, you know, like I said, having the junior planner go through and that, and others have gone through. I mean, there's some ceiling issues and there's some crumbling
There's
ceilings.
potential hazards, but definitely not a
But not
huge.
in the way that.
Right.
And it's locked, so theoretically, if people
No one's
can't go in
going in
there,
it.
we can't lock the garage. The doors are so warped, we can't even get them closed.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the other part of the safety concern is that we can't even close it off to the public.
Right.
And after Andrew's group cleaned it and put the caution tape up, because we were concerned about someone going in for safety, that's when he put his stuff in it
Again,
Again.
again, after we had asked him to take it out, he took it out and then he put it back.
Yeah, I mean, it does make me wonder if like he needs a letter from town
Right.
council.
Right, yeah.
So, I will look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll email you.
Yeah, send me that email so I know I'm asking for questions.
Thank you. Yeah, I can send you some pictures too, if you want.
That would be helpful.
Images are always useful.
Oh,
Are
the
you
last
good with
thing,
yours, or?
just the last thing on the regional news. So the financial report is completed, however. Lisa signed off. We were well above the municipal appropriation requirement. Last year, if everybody remembers, we were only $250 above the.
Oh, right, I remember that.
Yeah, and this year, we're well above that. The requirement for this year was 291.9. We are at 328.3. So much better shape this year. Still open the requisite number of hours per week, requisite number of days and evenings after 5. We were above the materials expenditure requirement for FY23. We have to spend 19% of our budget on circulating materials. 100% compliance was 54,899, and the actual amount spent was 65,200. So good shape there. I don't really have anything additional to mention about the budget. Kind of talked about that when I went over the budget and the director's report. If anybody has any questions though about any of this or the budget report.
I do just a couple quick
Yes.
ones, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
With Jen being absorbed by Victory, so going back to the HVAC.
Yes.
We haven't paid them anything.
Nope. I'm not going to until.
Do we have an earmark on the budget so that those funds are set aside as a just in case?
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly do that. It would come out of contracted services.
Perfect. And then
So-
I guess the last question is that
Yeah.
contract, do we have access to it, or is the town going the contract that was originally with Victory?
I can go back and I can look at last year's contract. I have a copy of last year's contract.
So we haven't signed a new one for this year?
No,
Okay.
because they
Yeah.
haven't worked those.
So yeah, we can see last year's contract, that might be helpful.
Yeah,
Anytime a company gets absorbed,
Yeah.
there's always hiccups.
yeah.
So
Right,
it's,
and what I can do is scan it and send it to her to let her know, this is where we were this past year.
Yep.
Maybe they don't, I don't know, I could have misplaced it, I have no idea, but it would be a good idea to let them know exactly where we're coming from. So
absolutely.
yeah, let me do that.
And then it shows that we know our history, we know where it was, so we're not trying to play a game.
Right.
This is what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Then the idea of the facilities manager, I just want to make the comment is that's awesome, because a lot of these things we don't have to deal with. We get to use it as a resource instead of
Right.
having to deal with
Right,
the headaches that you're going
Right.
through.
Right.
yeah, I mean, and that's, like the septic, for example.
Right,
You know,
you're constantly chasing down vendors and,
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, it's difficult because, as anybody knows, with a home or whatever.
Yeah.
You call a contractor and it takes forever for them to
Right.
get back to you, and it's a lot of chasing around.
yeah,
And to my thinking, it would think that if you had a facilities manager and that sort of consolidation of services might be less expensive too, if the whole town was under particular contractor for this or for that or what. And that could be aligned with the facilities manager.
There was a presentation, the acting highway surveyor and then Dan Meyer Parks. I
Yeah.
don't remember his exact title, he's like,
Parts.
Parks, yeah, he's got lots of
titles.
But they did a presentation based on, there was a Collins Center study about our public works in Mendon, and there were some recommendations, and so then Don Dudley and Dan Meyer did a presentation that included like this proposal that for the facilities manager. So like, yeah, we're definitely like considering that. Like it was one of the things we talked about at the goals meeting last
Oh,
night. Like we're like, it's still in the early stages because it's gonna involve restructuring. But I mean, I think the hope is that like, you know, in that we could start sort of considering it with the spring budgets. It's just, it's one of these issues where it's like, it's kind of a lot of moving parts, and since we don't have a permanent town administrator, like, there was some question of trying to propose it like for this upcoming, special town meeting. but
Yeah,
that's
sure.
it's very fast for.
Right.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
So anyhow, so we.
I was just glad the conversation for sure.
It's
Yeah.
great. Like, there's been, we've had a lot of, great, like, I guess, exchange of ideas, like, across, departments. Like, I think, you know, this department head meetings,
Yeah.
excellent. So
Good.
like,
Yeah, that is good.
And then the last thing is on the subcommittee.
Yes.
So just for ease, I built a quick little team and Microsoft Teams for the subcommittee. I can add whoever we need to. It's currently private, so only the folks who are added onto the team have access and
Okay.
can use it. But I'm planning to have everyone that's on the team, so you can
Yeah.
manipulate that documents. The goal is to have a common workspace,
Yeah,
so that you can access it anywhere. We can put the old plans up there as whatnot.
Right, yeah.
And any of that stuff. So I already have it built, and then at the end of the meeting, we can go through and I can add whatever names we need to.
okay, good.
Excellent. That's all I have.
Right, so then library policy, we already touched on it, right? That
Yes.
was the,
And then I, like I said, I had Jennifer look it over from, Human Resources. So I don't, does anybody need a copy of it at all?
mistake, I actually have two. I printed two by mistake,
Part
so.
of the reason it's short is, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We talked about this, and there is a personnel policy with the town amended. When I talked to Jennifer, she said that I think they worked on something during the pandemic that hasn't been finalized yet, so at some point, we probably have to go back to the well on this, and double check against what is released as a personnel policy.
Oh, so they're gonna update
It
the personnel
sounds
policy for the
that
town,
like that.
which makes sense.
Yeah.
For that.
It makes sense, since the last one was 2013.
So what is in red essentially is what's been added in. There were just a couple of things that I took a look at as far as the personnel policy goes. So I added in authorized leave, disciplinary process and action, and grievance procedures. I didn't change much else other than that. Jennifer mentioned it'd probably be good if I just made mention of where the personnel policy for amendment is, so that's on the website's on there. But other than that, it hasn't been they have one from 2013, so obviously yeah, it's been a little while.
Just things we're standing.
So, yes.
I think it looks good. Should we,
Put forward a motion to accept the changes to policy.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Alright.
And I'll keep tabs on, where they're at with the town one and adjust accordingly.
Yeah,
All right, do we need to talk more about the garage issue, or are we good?
so I think we're good. I think, you'll send an email to Elena. Elena will find out what our best process is of sending, 1 letter, 2 letters, 10 letters, whatever we need.
I will say one last thing, that when I talked to him, I did mention more about the liability issue. I'm not sure that he understands, no, this is silly because everything's behind there and it's not on his property. I don't know that he understands that behind the property, the liability issue there. But that's not really the point. The point was that that material can't be behind there and it needs to be off the, private property. So I just wanted.
Right, because God forbid you had a program outside and some little kid
Well, that's the other.
ran away from their parents or whatever, or ran away from Tara.
It's not just.
She's so scary. And went behind there.
It's not
You
just
know what I
what
mean?
him being back
Right.
there and messing with it, it's whoever else would be back there.
Right.
Well, if it gets stolen from back there, that becomes an issue too. Is it
Mhm.
our liability because it was on our property? Is it
You're
his
right.
liability because it's his? Like, where does that land? And then if we allow him to store stuff on town property, does that mean we now have to let it open for anybody in town who wants to store something on property? You know, so it's just, there's a whole myriad of issues that.
Right.
Yes.
One of the things we might, sorry,
No,
brain working, we may, if you want to, and depending upon the recommendation from other parts, council is, just add in the letter, request the town surveyor come and assess the property boundary. So have them, start the process and do an official request through the town to have the town surveyor come back out and say, mark this boundary. So then when it comes down to the bigger legal question, we can be like, hey, yes, we already had our town check, verify this is the property boundary.
I don't think we have a town surveyor. We'd have to hire one.
yeah, we don't have,
I was trying to think, like, I'm like, who,
Yeah.
yeah, like, I
don't-
mean, I'm
yeah.
thinking like. I mean,
It
assessors,
would be,
like, they,
it would be the,
like,
it would be the
but,
planning board.
yeah, but, yeah, I don't know.
Then, never mind.
I mean,
We can put more taken then.
But I mean, that doesn't mean that we don't have one, I don't have.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been less involved with the planning board, but, I mean, I think it's a good consideration and, yeah. I don't know, maybe.
I could reach out to the town, well, I could reach out to the town planner and ask.
Yeah,
I'll reach out and ask.
yeah, that's not a bad idea.
I kind of doubt that we
Can we
do
have a
that.
question about the other boundaries?
We
There
did,
was at the time when we were looking at,
but now that now that they sold it, I don't think it'll be an issue.
Yeah,
I mean, it's certainly been pretty well maintained over there.
Yeah.
Since.
much better.
Yeah, because we had discussed having a surveyor come out and do that one too, but we never,
Yeah.
When we had garbage being, yeah,
Mhm.
same deal.
It's starting to trickle over.
It's not.
Did you look at that map? It wasn't one. Did you see, or did I talk to you about that?
If you go to the GIS map online,
Right.
you can see kind of an overview of the boundaries, but those can be off by, a little bit. They're not
Right.
exact. It's not a surveyor who comes out and marks the boundaries based on the, the deed. I'm like shocked if we did.
yeah.
We're too little. All right, so strategic plan goals.
I did talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that. Some of the things, of course, when we got the strategic plan, we had about 4 months left of FY '23. So some of those things did carry over in FY '24. I'll start to address. Some of them are pretty easy to address. We need to hire window washers, whatever, especially with the windows upstairs that are kind of challenging. So some of these are a call to make. Some of them are things to work on with the staff, which I talked about a little bit. I think in terms of things to work on with the trustees, we're already doing that with policies. Doing 1 month. I think we should also go over the job descriptions, particularly since Paula's job and ours have changed. And I think we need to figure out where that lines up with what the job description is, perhaps should be.
Okay.
And then.
Throw more work at her, that's what I say.
So I can add a line to our next meeting to start,
Yeah.
we can start. to
I think
kind of
it'd
go
probably be a
through
good idea. I think, you want to start with just one each. There's essentially, there's, library assistants or technicians, children's librarian and director.
Yeah, 1 a month is probably fine. I mean, that'll get us done by the very beginning of next year,
Right.
possibly by the end of first quarter.
Right. Right, okay, sounds good. So, those are the two things to work on, I think, during, trustees meetings. Other things that need to be looked into, obviously, we're still have to discuss website. They talked about an organizational chart, but I think we're pretty small. I mean, an organizational chart would make a lot of sense if you had a lot of sort of tiers. We have essentially 3 tiers. you know,
That's
so.
pretty low hanging fruit then.
Yeah, true. I mean, you know, so, I think it's obviously something like that probably isn't too big a deal. What else? I did go through the rest of this. I mean, some of this had to do with outreach. I can start, I can talk to the staff about that. I can talk to Tara about some of this as well. Talked about programs. We're gonna look into, or look at program gaps, program gaps.
She's officially logged off. Her computer died. That's why she's
Uh-oh.
in that frozen thing. She just texted me and said I had to log off.
Okay. We continue to do inventory portions of collection. We're always doing that, so that's kind of an ongoing thing anyway. I talked about the hardware inventory we'll do. Some of the cross sort of working with other departments. Some of that's happened and continues to happen, like especially in the summertime. We've got to read around town and that, but there are some other things we can do. I do know that I would like to reach out to Netmuck about their DACA. And I was talking to principal,
John Simon.
no.
Right.
Oh, Mary Ann. Yeah.
And she said that there might be some possible ways to work together as far as publicity and certain things that they work on. So I have to find out from her exactly where she was coming from on that. And that's the FY23 stuff. The FY24 stuff, there's even more. So, I mean, we'll keep plugging away. It's,
Well, that's always the intent. It wasn't, just because it says 24 doesn't mean you have to do it in 24. It's just
yeah.
trying to continue to make progress.
Yeah. When I talked to Mary, she said, you know, this stuff, these things are gonna shift.
Yeah.
Like, you'll get to certain things, but you'll probably have to roll some things over. So anyway, we'll keep working on it. Cool. Does anybody have any questions? This actually, who has a copy? Does everybody have a copy of this, or should I try to get some more copies of this? for you?
I think I have a digital copy.
Yeah, I might have
a digital.
I might
I
have
don't
a
have hard
digital one.
copies.
It is, it's posted on the website.
Oh, yeah, that's fine then. I don't
But
think-
if anybody wants a physical copy, let me know.
No, I'm all right.
I was going to make just a couple more for the library to have them, so. But I thought I would do that soon, so if anybody does want one, just give me a holler. So that's stuff.
Yeah, so the website,
Yeah.
I know it's, past few meetings, it's kind of been bounced around a little bit. Does the town have a website master, a webmaster?
Kind of Dan.
Kind of Dan, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
One
Yeah.
that's-
Yeah.
He's got a mobile on.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
know, last meeting he was
That's
literally
part
on
of the
hold
reason
line
I-
during our meeting, the poor guy.
it would be great if he, you know, was available for that sort of thing, but I think that that's where the challenge lies, like,
Yeah.
who we're using. Well, let me put it this way. The website, as it currently is constituted, is not sustainable. We talked about that. We need to update. I'm gonna reach out again to Bluehost, who is the provider at this point. If you have a program, we could.
Do we want to do that, or do we want to look at some of the schools and see if maybe one of the seniors can take it on? or-
I think that's the question is, we need some sort of contact for that, because I think that wasn't, whoever was
So in
involved with that.
Nipmuc, yes, Dave,
There.
Dave Quinn.
Quinn left, but, you know, there is somebody that took his place, and I forget her name. Probably talked to her yesterday, but I forget her name.
What's her?
Colleen Sherrell.
What's that?
Who?
Colleen Sherrell.
Thank you. Yep.
How do you- Was Colleen,
Sure.
is it SH or?
TERRI.
Oh, my God, really?
T E.
Is it Terrell?
Terrell.
Sure.
But then there's also DVT as an option as well.
Right.
And
I don't have an issue with that, like if there's somebody who has the time to do it. I think one of the issues for us was that, based on my know-how and Tara's know-how, like, she liked the setup of what we had. But as I said, it's not sustainable.
Right, well, and they can find platforms that you can still maintain long-term once it's set up.
Right.
There are lots of different platforms like that, that you guys could then maintain. It's just finding somebody who has the skill and know-how and the creativity
Right.
to come in and lay it out and make it, get that base done for you. And then you could go in and add your programs and add, all of that.
Right.
I mean, my personal feeling is that as it currently is, it's too busy.
Yes, I would agree.
It needs to be simplified. A little
I
more
agree.
It
straightforward.
needs more,
Mhm.
Well, that's why I started talking to you about it
Mhm.
2 years ago.
I know.
It's because.
It's hard because we don't have, it would be great if we had somebody on
Right.
staff here who was dedicated to that.
Yep.
Wholly, and we just don't have that, whereas others sometimes do.
Is
And
there another like town library that has a website that you really like?
Yeah,
we
that's,
have looked at that,
Because I
yeah,
mean, like, they
Yeah.
might be willing to share, like, like,
who they use.
Yeah, a lot of them actually say right on the website who did it.
right, because it's, I mean,
Share the
it,
design.
it's,
Right.
Yeah,
that like it could be used as like a template also that would just take a lot of the design burden off.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a starting point, like if you have that like
right.
goal, like. we
Yeah,
want
because
to like
when we
this one.
originally talked about it, I had gone out
I
to
know,
all
it's
the
been a
different
while.
towns
It's been
and
a
I
while.
had a list of like, hey, I like this, I like,
Yeah.
but I didn't want that to be all on my opinion, everybody else needed to
Right.
look at it too. So,
Yeah,
but I mean, I know Nitmuc's always looking for internships and things like that.
Yeah.
Because they really want to, they're
I just
pushing
received a
aesthetic
letter
learning.
Well,
to
It's a brand new,
students,
it's
so.
a brand new comp sci program,
Mhm.
so.
There's
they're
that
like
too.
3 classes now,
okay.
so.
And was this Colleen the person to touch base with on that or somebody else?
So as far as internships for the kids are concerned, I would check out Mary Ann first.
Okay.
And then go, then what she tells you, and whoever she tells you to contact.
yeah, that's a good point.
Oh.
And James, to answer your question, so I don't know if it was the whole town, but the library did have, what was that guy's name? Someone in place that
Oh, Bill.
kind of Bill.
That was at a town though, I thought. I thought he worked for the.
He
Well, he was the
initially said,
trustee initially,
Oh,
and then
okay.
was helping us just.
yeah,
That was
he kind of initially helped set it up, and then he was the one that gave people access, like when I came on board as the president of the Friends, he gave me access to be able to update certain things for the Friends. But then he kind of went away.
Right. And Tara and I are updating, but we have a limited sort of ability to update certain areas. I mean, like I said, post minutes and that sort of thing, and she's able to go in and post some things on the homepage and that, but.
Yeah,
there's
it's
so much
kind of
more that
archaic
could be-
though,
yeah,
I feel.
there's so much more that could be.
I mean, just from the little stuff that I used to do, it's
Yeah.
kind of archaic for
It's agreed. And
updating.
And we talked about this, that we need to, rebrand.
Yeah.
So not rebrand, but.
Nothing wrong with that term.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing
brand,
wrong with
new
that.
layout,
It needs to happen.
little more user friendly.
Mhm.
I imagine the kids, like I say.
Yeah,
I agree.
Because she's right, it's like there's the town outreach, community outreach to get projects going in the community,
Yeah,
not exactly like ADT, but similar.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that they'll be here.
so I'll
Right.
contact Mary Ann.
Yeah, I would.
Awesome, okay. So,
Yeah, and I know I've talked to seniors this week who are out looking for internships right now.
really.
Yeah.
Awesome, that's great. And if it's a little more intuitive for us too on the back end of things, you know. Because sometimes we're just even trying to put something up in like a new database or whatever it's like I said, we're using an old version.
Right.
It shows. Not just from the front end, but from the back end and what you have to do. It's very convoluted. Anyway, that's.
But even to put up a simple meeting minutes, I remember was like
Oh, yeah.
10 steps.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is ridiculous.
I
It
was
takes
doing
3 steps.
The other day, and it was literally 6 steps when it
Yeah.
probably could take 2.
Right.
Yeah. Convoluted.
But I agree that it does need to be worked on, so if we can start with the school and, you know,
Great, if we could have some kids interested.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What they did with the sign on the school, it's been my project. So they're continuing to do that as much as they can.
Yeah, nice.
All right, any topics not anticipated?
nope.
Nope.
All right, next meeting, when is that going to be? Everybody pulls up their
I
calendars.
think is that the 8th or 9th or something?
The 9th is the second Tuesday, the 16th is the third Tuesday. Thursday, thank you. It's been a long week already.
Either this, behind this time, maybe that's where we keep to the second, we usually do the second.
Yes.
And then the town's meeting is on the 6th on Monday, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we're not conflicting with that.
Oh, the special town meeting is November 6th, okay.
November 9th.
We were gonna try for after Thanksgiving, but that did not, so.
All right, so we have a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned at 6:00.